Welcome to the PT Marketing Power Hour, highlighting successful marketing strategies from North America's fastest growing clinics so you can learn from their wins and power your practice growth. It's no secret, this year has been one giant financial question mark for practices everywhere. Today, Neil is going to introduce you to one of his own trusted financial advisors, somebody who's worked with hundreds if not thousands of PT owners over the years. This interview will cover some specific details to the COVID-19 timeframe, but more importantly, it's going to cover how you can be more prepared for any financial crisis in the future. So stick around and don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, let's power your practice. Here's your host, physical therapist, marketing expert, and CEO of Practice Promotions, Neil Trickett.
Hey everybody, Neil Trickett here with Practice Promotions, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing and getting advice from Eric Miller with Econologics Financial Advisors. Eric is the go-to guy for private practice financial advising, and we've been working with him for many, many years. He's helped us to be very successful from that aspect and prepare for these kind of things. So Eric's going to help us today understand some key things that we want to be looking out for financially these times with our practice, and then what we need to look for in the future. So welcome, Eric. Great to have you here.
Thanks, my friend. Hey, where's your Inc. 5000 sign? Because, you guys are the Inc. 5000 too.
Somewhere around here. Oh, you know what's on my dresser, so I got it. It's actually on the other side of the screen.
Is it? Well, you'll make it again next year, so you can have two, right?
That's right. Yeah, I'm going to have a whole wall of the Inc. 5000s back there. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Great. And so, Eric, you want to just give our audience here a little bit of who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So again, as Neil said, my name's Eric Miller. I'm the Chief Financial Advisor at Econologics Financial Advisors. We specialize in working with private practice owners. And we created a financial system that really allows the practice owner to reap the benefits of the hard work in their practice and have that channel and show up in their household. So we specialize in showing practice owners how to create reserves, which I know a lot of us are really, if you have them, I'm sure you're glad that you have those right now. Get yourself out of debt, make sure that you are really running your household like a business, and that it's solvent and that it's expanding and that you're investing correctly and that you're protecting your assets and all those things that lead to, a better financial condition. That's what we specialize in doing. And we do it specifically with private practice owners.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so, finances are a hard thing to confront. I admit it. Most of us just don't get the education around finance. Like, we're really not taught well, finances and how that, looks overall and especially as you start to run a business, right? And how that pertains to running in the business, all the finances, and then all that finances that run around the household. So I knew when we started working with you many years ago, even before we started with Practice Promotions in our practice, that it was a hard pill to swallow. It was a hard thing to learn about finances, but you really helped to guide us in the fundamentals and understanding that and how we needed to structure things and then be all these different things that we need to be successful, but also be very protective. So really appreciate all the advice that you've given to us over the years. And I think for a lot of people, it might be confusing in terms of when they think of a financial advisor, they think of someone that just tells you to buy this particular stock or this particular mutual fund. And I know with Econologics, it's not that at all. It's very much about how you set yourself and your business up to be run correctly and doing what it's supposed to do, which is to help people but also provide a profit and then make sure that that profit is well protected and growing for you moving forward. So thank you for that. What I do want to get into is to how we can help a lot of practices and practice owners in these critical times right now to get through this, and then also what we need to do to help them be successful for the rest of the year to catch up from this big, loss that they've had right now. So
Yeah.
what do you see are some of the key fundamentals to protecting income for a practice in this crisis?
Well, I think right now, and I'll just go off the cuff because I'm having so many conversations with business owners right now. It's let's look at the current situation. I mean, most people that we're seeing, patients have seen that dramatically decrease over the last, 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe down to 20% of what it was before, right? So you've had to make some tough decisions in how you manage your practice, because right now you're only seeing so many patients. There's no way that you can carry the expense of a full staff and all of your expenses. You really have to be proactive and act with a lot of speed right now. So what I'm telling people to do is that, look, you have to be able to navigate your expenses, make sure that you can at least keep the organization there and produce at whatever level that you can. That's going to at least allow you to pay your bills, your utilities, your rent, whatever your note payments are, and really figure out what that number is. So, and it's different for every practice, but they really have to get in there. And that's why you really need to be working with your accountant, your bookkeeper, your finance people, and figure out, hey, for us just to survive, because that's all we're trying to do right now, right, is just to get through this period where we're still producing, where the organization can still function, but that we can at least pay our basic necessities with a skeleton crew so that we don't have to go into more debt. I think that would be a win for a lot of people. Like, they don't have to go into this tremendous amount of debt to get out of this thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first thing that we're trying to help people with, is to really figure out what that number is and just get certain on that, and then really just try to produce that number. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the first action that we're helping people do, and that seems to be working. And then, of course, at the same time, to what you do, you have to be promoting that you are not only open, but that you are still here, that you are, a beacon of help for the community, that, physical therapy is still super important right now, more than ever. And that it has to get known to people, so that you at least keep, a minimum amount of patients flowing in. And then it's that we've developed and created a safe place for people to get treated as well.
Right.
That seems to be what I'm seeing.
Great. And that is such a critical message, that at this time to switch up, to let people know that you are servicing, you are open, you are able to help people. You have done things differently to make sure it's a safe environment for them, with extra cleaning and things like that, or you're promoting telehealth, or that there are options. And I've seen kind of two ends of the spectrum here. There's been the practice owners that are retracting and like, I just got to close. We just got to cut all expenses, period. And they kind of look for the immediate fix of like, I can't pay any payroll. I can't do anything. I'm shut. Right. And then there's the other practices that like, we're going to make this go right somehow. And we're going to, yes, we have to reduce staff. We have to reduce costs as much as possible, but let's keep operating. As you said, keep the organization together. Let's keep servicing at a minimum. Let's try telehealth in here. Let's keep the business going, because at the end of the day, like, if you just pull back, if you just completely close and retract, when it is time to reopen, when it is time to service again, it's going to be a monumental effort to get back up to where you're going. And it's going to be continued financial loss until you get back to, that operating basis, which is going to take a lot longer than if you're just trying to keep things running and organized and making things happen right now.
That seems to be the successful action, just what you said right there for guys. I think as you do recover, which you will, I think those that are able to at least keep that organization flowing are going to be able to, from a money standpoint, it's the same thing. When people are putting money away and the money is flowing towards, the channels that they have it set up, when you cut that right away, it's like, it's really hard to get it started again, and I think that an organization's the same way. I think it's dangerous to cut the flow completely, minimize it down, and then you can ramp it back up a lot quicker.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of talk around the Payroll Protection Act and helping small businesses, and especially for practices. What are some of your things that you're seeing? What are some of your advice that you're giving to practice owners?
Yeah. So look, it's important. if you can act quickly and apply for it. And, I know there are some restrictions on how much money banks are given. So you have to kind of navigate, through that, because, you could apply through a bank and they may already have deployed all their money. So here's the thing I'm telling most people. Definitely be proactive, apply for it, but don't manage your business based around a loan. You can't do that, because there's too many variables. Getting a loan is not 100% guarantee. So you can't manage your business with the expectation that you're going to get this loan and it's going to save you. I think that's a big mistake that I'm seeing. I know a lot of people are putting all their attention right now on filling out the application and what are the ramifications of the loan and what are the stipulations and what do I have to do. And they're putting all their attention on that, where they should, as we just talked about, putting their attention on producing, promoting, getting their name out there, still keeping the organization there, seeing patients, those kinds of things. I think that's a much better use of your time, figuring out other income streams, getting creative with your income streams. How can I get money in the door? I think those are the things that you should be certain of, and also making sure that how much money you have coming in from accounts receivable. Because right now, most practices, what are you depending upon? Your current business reserves and your accounts receivable and your credit lines. That's what you have to navigate this thing. So I would get certain about that and then spend my attention on the other things.
Yeah. So you just hit the nail on the head, where you definitely want to do it. You definitely want to apply for that loan, but you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't dwell on it. Don't let that stop you from trying to, keep the rest of the business going to some extent. And I've seen that too. There's been obviously a lot of chatter, a lot of confusion, a lot of things happening with this. It's very complicated, moving parts, right? And we were very uncertain where things were happening last week, but then, it's starting to move now. So yeah, I think for practice owners that just think that this is going to be the saving grace for their practice, I think that's a very, dangerous situation to put yourself into.
I would just have a plan B if you don't end up getting the money, right? So start looking at, okay, what else do I have? A lot of people they may have investment products that they don't realize they can have access to right now. I know it's not a great time to dip into those. And I know a lot of people don't want to put their retirement in jeopardy, but what's more important, is the business. And, going back to that promotion, you look at, and you've sold a practice before, so that, a lot of what a practice sells for is its goodwill, right? And I think that's the biggest component part of what a private practice would sell for is its goodwill. So right now you have a tremendous opportunity to build a ton of goodwill in your community. And, all you're going to be doing when you do that is enhancing the value of the business at the same time. So just to go back to that promotion aspect.
Yeah, it's kind of like sowing some seeds right now, right? So now's the time, we've talked about it before, where this is the time to brand your practice. Branding is what other people think about your business. So if you're able to plant in their mind at this time that you've been very helpful, you've tried to give, you've been open, you've been trying to, give exercise tips, just be out there, then when at times in these coming months, those seeds are going to start to grow and you're going to be able to reap the harvest. Some of the owners that I've spoken to, they've actually worked very hard right now to build their physician relationships. Physician offices are very slow. So they've actually been able to chat with the coordinator or even the doctor and say, what can we do to help you? Right. And they're like, one of them was saying, we don't have masks. They had some surplus. They gave those masks. Guess what kind of relationship that just built in that moment? They weren't asking for any referrals. They weren't asking for anything. They were just trying to help. So they're actually, sowing the seeds of good PR with that physician. And guess what? 5 months from now, 4 months from now, that's going to be a very different story in that relationship that they build with that clinic. Eric, what are some of the financial pitfalls that you think a practice owner can make at this time?
Bad decisions they can make right now? Well, I think it primarily is just, if you start feeling uncertain or confused and you start making really bad decisions. So, I think number one is, as far as bad decision making would be to do nothing. Okay. I think that's number one, is just like, okay, I'm not going to confront this. So people that just don't confront what their finances are, I think that's a big mistake.
Mhm.
Obviously, looking at your investment accounts and saying, hey, I may need to like dip into these and, and sell my retirement accounts that you're not going to use for another 20 years. I think that'd be a mistake too, is going in and making changes to that, because, there's no good that's going to come of that. And I think the other mistake is, let me think of one. Not staying connected to people that are helping you. So what I mean by that is, like, you should have like your colleagues, you should have a team right now that you're depending upon. So that would include colleagues, that would include, your associations, your accountants, your bookkeepers, your consultants. Like, you should not be disconnecting from your consultants right now. You need them now more than ever, as far as to teach you how to navigate through this thing. So you really have to make sure that you're staying connected in communication with those people, because they're going to help you be able to make adjustments and make good decisions and provide really good data. And I think that's another big problem that people are having. The information that they're given right now is just making them, I don't want to say hysterical, but people are operating out of fear right now and making decisions based upon that. And
Yeah.
you can't do it. Nothing good becomes of that.
Yeah.
Right
I
now is your
totally-
time to like really be a leader and make decisions looking, at the next 2 or 3 years, because the decisions that you make right now could affect your next 2 to 3 to 5 years.
Mhm.
Big
Yeah,
time.
and we were chatting on this a little bit before, and I was giving you my experience, which is when I had my practice in South Florida, we actually got shut down 3 times. We went through 3 hurricanes, and Wilma was the last one, and that was about 2005 in October, and that shut us down for like a week and a half. And then our elevator broke because of like an electrical surge from the storm, so we couldn't get patients up the elevator for 3 weeks afterwards. So basically, like a month and a half, we were really down in our business, and then just realized that the whole community was smashed. Our roads and intersections were down, and businesses' windows were blown out, and all kinds of damage. Right. So natural disasters happen, recessions happen, right? And so in kind of looking at the finances of a business, you have to be prepared to weather the storm of
Yep.
whatever may come your way. And this is just one of the many things that could happen to yourself or to your business that's out of your control, right? And so it could be a natural disaster. There's many clinic owners that we've talked to that have different stories. Maybe it was a tornado or a fire or whatever. Things happen, and just from a financial standpoint, what you taught us was that you need to have reserves for your household, and you
Yep.
also need to have reserves for your business to get through these times, right?
Yeah, I think people are starting to realize the value of that. And, I get it. They made interest rates and, money that you had in your checking and savings account. I mean, how much did you earn on that money? Zero,
Mm-hmm.
0 to 1%.
Yeah.
So people looked at it and said, why would I just have, money sitting in a bank earning 0%? I have to have my money like always doing something for me. Okay. Well, that's not always the case. You need to have liquidity. And you need, and right now, would people have the choice of having $100,000 to $200,000 just sitting in their business checking or personal savings account? I'm sure they would feel a heck of a lot better right now, even if it's only earning 0 to 1%, than having nothing,
Mm-hmm.
in liquidity. So having liquidity, having, that money available, so that you can salvage a business, because this stuff is going to happen, just like you said. I mean, this is an emergency, right? And it only becomes an emergency because you failed to plan for it, right? Otherwise, it's not really that much of an emergency. Like if you had $300,000 or $400,000 sitting there, and I'm like, okay, well, that kind of sucks. I may have to dip into it, but at least it's there, and I can protect my organization. People that didn't prepare for that, they don't have that, and now they're in the fear and anxiety, and then they make the bad decision. So I'm hoping it gives a lot of practice owners a wake-up call of just how important profits are. Like profits are really, really key, and how important good money management of your money is. That you are putting profits in there, that you are, setting aside money in emergency funds, and not just like $10,000. I'm talking about like 2 to 3 months of business expenses. And that message is kind of easy to tell people right now. They may not have listened to that like 3 months ago, but
Right.
we're listening to that right now.
Yeah, that was definitely a hard pill to swallow when you were mentioning that years ago and things are good and you're like, do I really need to have that much reserves for
Yeah.
operating? And then you're like, hey, guess what? Your business is shut down for 2 months because of a pandemic. And yeah, here it is, right? We're living it. So those sound financial principles do apply, right? And
Yeah.
it may not be something that happens on a yearly basis. It might be once every 10 years or once every 20 years, but something will happen once in that lifetime of the business that could put you under if you don't prepare well enough.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so as we start to, recover here in the coming months, there's going to be an end to this. There always is. And going through, again, like natural disasters, where they're like, oh, the community's devastated. It's going to take years to recover. One thing I've always just seen is that things recover faster than anyone can predict. People want to get back to normalcy in some regards. And so what are some of the things that you're going to see that a practice owner really needs to look at here as it was trying to recover here in the next few months financially?
Well, I think from a financial perspective, I mean, there's a great opportunity again for those that really weren't operating that efficient right now to really start looking at their staff and how they've created their organization to figure out how I can get more out of creating efficiency so I can get more out of what I have right now, as opposed to just like overwhelming the organization with just more expenses, bringing people back too fast. Like I need to really start looking at this and saying profits matter, and I have to like figure that out. Like, what are some things we can do? So to my point, as I said before, as far as overwhelming the organization with expenses, I think you can't bring people back too fast. And what I mean by that is obviously, you have key executives, you have your top producers. I would rely heavily upon them going forward to try to get as much production as I possibly can from them. Because again, even when you start seeing patients again, there's going to be a lag time of when you collect money. So you're going to really, your reserves are kind of like liquid gold right now, and you really have to manage that correctly. So I'm telling a lot of people, just make sure that as your patient load comes back, that you're bringing staff back strategically. And then it's a good opportunity for those people that were negative and didn't produce for you, don't bring them back. You don't need to. I mean,
Right.
That sounds a little bit, I don't know, maybe a little bit hard, but I really believe that this became an employer-based economy overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have 10 million people now that are on unemployment, and I think there'll probably be more coming soon, there's that many people that are going to be unemployed. And so all the demands that employees put on the employer before, which I guess was warranted because, hey, it was a full employment economy. People are going to be looking for jobs right now. People are going to be hungry to work. So you can really find out those people have a good attitude and that want to produce, and bring those people on. The people that, were kind of the parasitic type and, really weren't on board and didn't really follow your purpose, you don't have to bring them back right now.
Yeah.
So that would be one thing. And then of course, just the good money management. Make sure that as you're going forward, making sure that you are putting, your profit first. Our organization spends 99% of everything that we make. Okay. And I say that to people and they're like, yep. And we could run our organization for a whole year without making a penny, because we put money in separate accounts and reserves and we plan for this. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we spend it all. We expense it out. And that's the only way that you're ever going to have reserves is if you actually make it a necessary expenditure of the organization. So you have an opportunity right now as things come back to put that policy in. And that would be the first thing that I would do if I'm a business owner, is really make sure that I have good, sound money management in place.
Gotcha. So kind of just to review what you were saying there, first and foremost, just be careful as you hire back that you're not hiring back too fast to swamp your organization with expenses,
Yep.
because there is obviously going to be a curve in your volume, right? As you with your marketing, if you're very aggressive with that, that curve should be a little steeper, easier to get
Correct.
back to normal. If it's slower, then it's going to be a shallower curve. So you need to hire as your demand dictates to that. Don't just bring everybody back. Hey, we're back open. Everybody's getting back to work. And boom, now you have the biggest expense in your organization, which is payroll.
Yeah.
And you've killed your organization for months because you're overstaffed. So be strategic in how you're hiring. And then, as you were saying there before, I think just kind of help bring some clarity around that, making sure that there's that good book, Profit First, right?
Yes.
Which is a very good book. Definitely read that. But it's about making sure that your business is always making a profit, but that profit is actually considered an expense. And so you really don't notice it because it's always going away into an account somewhere doing its thing. And you're trying to operate the business just off of what else you're producing, but that profit is set aside to for future. And so it's very good sound financial advice with that. And so as you're looking at this, and one thing that you taught us really well, Eric, was that your business is this asset that you're building, right? And one day you're going to exit the business, whether it's by your choice or not. And obviously you want it to be by your choice. I've sold my practice. So I've been through this. And the goal is you're trying to strategically build your business to be as profitable as possible, as self-run as possible, so that when it's time to retire or move or whatever the thing's going to be that you exit the business, it's going to have the maximum value built into it that you can sell it for.
Correct.
So what are some of the key decisions right now and for the next 5 years that a practice owner wants to focus on to achieve that?
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the first decision right now that you have to make is that you're not a victim and you are a problem solver. I think right now that's the first decision that I would make, and that I'm trying to get people to make, is that, look, there are right now, I think everybody kind of feels like they're at the effect of this whole thing. But that's not going to solve any problem. Sorry, I have a list here. I'm just going off my list right here. So that's the first decision I would make. And I think that's the key, because right now it's all about attitude, right? And for those people that can keep their emotional tone level to a degree where they stay in action, where they're solving problems, where they see the importance of keeping the organization there, and that's going to be their mission. I really feel like they're gonna be the ones that come out on top of this, So really keeping your attitude, giving yourself that checkup from the neck up to make sure that you're not just like, oh, woe is me, and this is bad, and it's just that's not going to solve any problems. That would be the first decision that I would make. Second decision I would make is that I am going to market and promote and produce my way out of this thing, right? And that, I think, is a really key decision, because not a lot of people are saying that right now. They're thinking about, they're getting opinions from people, parents, colleagues. Hey, you should just shut down. You shouldn't be operating right now. You should just stop. You should do all those things. And, instead of saying, hey, let's market, let's produce, let's promote our way out of this thing. And those people that make that decision, that do that, I really feel in the next 5 years, they're going to be the leaders of the pack, in their community. I really do feel that way. We'll see if I'm right or not, but I think that in addition to that, like you should make the decision that you can create income, that you can get creative with the methods that you do it, but you also have to make sure that you're utilizing your proven methods of creating income, and make that decision. And then, of course, just make the decision that you're not going to be in this condition ever again. And I think that's probably the key decision that I have this window, just like you said earlier, to really impress upon people. Like, how does it feel right now? How does it feel to have no reserves? How does it feel to have a load of debt that you have to pay on? How does it feel to watch your investment and stock market accounts go down 25 to 30%? How does it feel to overpay in taxes? And you have the ability right now to make a decision that you're never, ever again going to be at the mercy of the banks, the IRS, or the stock market. You're never again going to be at the mercy of those three institutions again, and that you're going to do the fundamental actions that are going to allow you to be in a much different condition than anyone else. And it does start with making sure that your main engine, which is your business, is profitable, is sustainable, and is transferable, and putting your attention on building that. And then just making sure that a portion of that value goes to your parent company, the household, so that you can, create other income streams for the benefit of your household as well.
Yeah, awesome advice there, Eric. And one thing that you really taught us was that very, very simple concept, but your household is really the parent company of everything else that you hold, right? Whether that's the business is part of that, the business is not above the household. And often as practice owners, we feel like, oh, I have to, forgo a paycheck or something like that because the business has to come first. No, the household actually comes first. That's the parent company. The business feeds the parent company. Your other assets and other streams of income feed the parent company. So make sure you're feeding the parent company, which is the household.
That's right.
Awesome. Yeah. So Eric, thank you so much for bringing in your wisdom here today and helping practice owners around the country get through this difficult time, but really get ready for a better financial future for themselves. So I really appreciate you being on the call here today.
Thanks, bro.
You're welcome. And so if you definitely want to get connected with Eric, he's got amazing courses that he helps teach you. And then, of course, you can go further into it, help financially with him and his company. It's called Econologics Financial Advisors. And I think is it econologicfinancialadvisors.com? Is that?
Yeah, it's econologicsfinancialadvisors.com. I can send you the link. And then, we also have a financial survival disaster guide. I think that's what we called it, that I can send you the link to if they want to download it. Some of the topics that we talked about today, they can simply download that as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So we'll share that with the group so that you can get that information. So thanks for being on the call today, Eric, and wishing you well.
Thanks, bro. See ya.
All right.
I hope today's episode has been helpful for you as you pilot your practice through turbulent times. As you work to recover patient volume, check out practicepromotions.net/power. There you can download more than 9 checklists of free resources made to coach you through simple marketing actions to increase profitability and new patients. Check it out today. It's practicepromotions.net/power, and we will see you next time.